Welcome to the Everything Podcast. I am your host, and in today's episode, we are going to be covering Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So I want to do a bit of a breakdown and my thoughts on it, my reaction to it, so to speak. So let's start off with an article that I found on Cosmopolitan that kind of breaks it down. So just a FYI, this is going to be not spoiler free. This is going to have some spoilers. So if you haven't watched it, maybe go watch it and come back and then get my thoughts. But if you don't mind spoilers and you want to hear my thoughts to see if it's worth a watch, then definitely have a listen or continue listening. So it says here in the Cosmopolitan article, 2 years after the traumatic events of Five Nights at Freddy's comes the spine-chilling sequel that follows siblings Mike and Abby Schmidt and police officer Vanessa Shelley as they attempt to live normal lives. But of course, the spirits that haunt Freddy Fazbear's Pizza won't let them rest just yet. When a group of teen paranormal investigators visit the original location of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, they awaken the spirit of Charlotte Emily, Vanessa's childhood best friend and first victim of child serial killer Vanessa's father, William Afton. She takes on the form of the marionette, which is really creepy, by the way, and ends up possessing teen paranormal investigator Lisa, which leaves her free to wreak havoc on the outside world. She pulls the strings on the murderous Freddy's animatronics on a mission to kill any adults they can to get their hands on to avenge Charlotte's death. Mike, Abby, and Vanessa do their best to try and save the day, but things are a little more complicated now that Freddy's has become something of a local legend. The first ever Fast Fest is happening in town, turning the situation into a horrifying game of Where's Waldo? In search of the murderous toy animatronic versions of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. And to make matters worse, the big bad emerges from the grave. Here's what went down in the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 ending. So here's like the most spoilers. So the marionette takes control of Abby. So just when Mike and Vanessa think they got a handle on the chaos, all hell breaks loose again when the toy animatronics recover and power back up, including the marionette. It becomes clear that the two won't be able to defeat all the evil animatronics by themselves, so Mike calls for backup. He heads to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza franchise, where he first worked, hoping to get some of the original animatronics, which are possessed by the spirits of William Afton's victims, but when he goes to recruit them, he's only met with silence. Meanwhile, Vanessa makes her way back to Schmidt's house, only to find that Abby has already been possessed by the marionette, aka her former bestie Charlotte. But Mike is able to rescue his little sister by luring Charlotte's spirit out using her beloved music box. So this says Vanessa's secret brother reveals himself. While Abby is no longer in the marionette's control, our main trio isn't out of the woods just yet. It doesn't take long for the bloodthirsty toy animatronics to round them up again. This is when Michael, the night guard at the original Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, reveals himself as Vanessa's brother. As it turns out, he had a hand in all of the Fast Fest chaos and unleashing the marionette, hoping to finish his father's sinister work. Michael asks his long-lost sister to join him, but she refuses. The original animatronics come to the rescue. So just as Michael Afton sicks the toy animatronics on Vanessa, Mike, and Abby, their old friends come to the rescue. They successfully defeat Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Toy Freddy, and Toy Mangle. But because these old animatronics were never meant to leave the pizzeria, they break down after all the action. Before the spirits of William Afton's victims float away into the afterlife forever, one of the spirits tries to warn Mike about something sinister that might get out of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and it's stronger than it had ever been before. What Mike doesn't fully realize is that they're referring to William Afton. The original animatronics have been keeping the murderer's body in the Springtrap suit locked inside a room at Freddy's. This is important because once they've gone into the light, there's nothing that's keeping Afton's evil spirit from finding its way out of the restaurant somehow. So the marionette takes over Vanessa. After the defeat of the toy animatronics, Michael tries to run away, but he doesn't get very far before he's stopped by Mike's friend. Just as Mike and Abby leave the house, Mike tells Vanessa to leave him and his sister alone. He lost his trust in the police officer since she hadn't told him about the original Freddy Fazbear's pizza location or Charlotte's death, something they forgot to mention here, or her brother. He seemed to have forgiven her initially, but having just found out about her, her evil long-lost brother has made him wary of Vanessa again. In this emotional, vulnerable state, by the doorstep, Charlotte takes the opportunity to possess Vanessa. So in the mid-credits scene, it teases Five Nights at Freddy's 3. So this is something I wanted to talk about, which I will in a second. In the mid-credits scene of the Five Nights at Freddy 2, we see a group of 3 guys looting the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza from the first movie. With Fazfest being a thing now, people are going crazy over Fazbear paraphernalia. One of the guys ending up finding a room in the restaurant that hadn't previously been there before. There, of course, they find the Yellow Rabbit animatronic. The same one that William Afton died in. The 3 scavengers decide to cover it in plastic, hoping to take it home. But once they leave the room, one of the eyes flickers on, signaling the waking of Afton's spirit in the Springtrap costume. So Emily warns Mike in the post-credits. The film actually ends with a voice note. Charlotte, Emily's father, Henry, has a message for Mike. He admits that he was William Afton's partner in creating animatronics and tells Mike that he still has some animatronic parts around that might help him fight back. Because, as he warns, the marionette is still at large, he says, she's coming for you. So, I'm sure you can tell by everything that I've said now, it is super busy. So, and this is why I wanted to read an article that was kind of covering it so I didn't forget anything that I was writing. So I was writing a few things, and then I saw that this just kind of mentioned 1 or 2 things I had forgotten. So I thought, let me just read this instead and then go through my thoughts afterwards. So if you compare the first one to this one, so the first one's story was very concise. It had a very, very direct line of sight to an ending. What I don't like about the second one, as you know, comparing to the first, is there's a setup but no payoff. So this movie seemed like it was made with the intent of a Five Nights at Freddy's 3, which is fine. However, here's my issue. Let's say because the movie did well. Let's say it didn't, then what? So then you have like a movie that is not ended. It ends on a cliffhanger, and then you can't make a third one. So that's the tricky part. So in this case, the payoff, or in this case, it paid off for them. But if you compare it to like the first one, there was a setup payoff. You know, I kind of wish this one had a payoff to a certain degree. It didn't really. It's basically just setting up everything with Afton coming back, you know, and Vanessa getting possessed at the end, and whatever the case is. The voice note kind of saying, you know, the warning with Charlotte's dad. So all of that is set up for the third one. So there was no payoff in this, which is, it's not always a bad thing, but there was kind of a lot that was going on in this movie where I thought it would be nice, you know, to have like them beat Charlotte in some shape or form, and then, you know, by accident, Afton's coming back, you know, but now both of those are a thing that's happening in the third one. So there's no payoff specifically. The other thing that bugged me is the continuity with the relationships from the first to this one. So in the first one, they go through all of this traumatic stuff, and I'm talking about Abby, I'm talking about Vanessa, Mike, right? So with regards to the 3 of them, so Vanessa and Mike seemed like they were good at the end of the first one. It kind of looked like she might be some sort of mother figure in a way. You know, her and Mike might be an item in some shape or form. They went through something serious together, and that kind of the feel that you get, you know, like, okay, they like each other. They've been through a lot together, and, you know, like happy ever after kind of thing. So, and I don't even mind that if it wasn't meant to be like that, cool. But that's the feel that you got. The relationship that they had was so awkward in the beginning that you almost thought, like, what happened in between the last movie and this one? So there was nothing to say, oh, okay, they're going through this stuff because of XYZ. They kind of like hovered about with regards to her going through some PTSD and traumatic stuff, and he's trying to help her and she's not really letting him. Okay, fine. But it still doesn't seem like something that would completely shatter what was kind of built up in the first one. So that's also like the continuity stuff. What I liked about this one is the characters look cool. This one was a lot more creepy than the last one. The last one was a lot more friendly. For a horror genre, there's nothing about that movie that freaked me out at all. But this one was much more creepy, especially with that marionette. There was a lot more thrilling pieces and pieces with a lot of suspense in them as compared to the first one. The first one was a lot of fun, actually. I was kind of wondering why they threw it into the horror genre. Maybe just because of the feel, I guess, but it wasn't really horror centric. This one definitely delved more into the horror stuff, which I liked. But again, the story was so busy. It jumped from thing to thing to thing. And when it got to pieces, I kind of wish they spent more time on searching for the characters. Like that was the, obviously there's a setup with Charlotte in the beginning, etc. They go through all these things. And then you have a situation where they're looking for them, but it kind of feels like they found them very quickly. It just seemed like it was so quick, like, okay, boom, 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 they found them, now Vanessa gets possessed and boom, that's in. So yeah, so in saying that, there is a lot that I liked about this movie. Like I said, it is a little bit more thrilling and suspenseful than the first one. Story is very, very busy and not as concise as the first one, but it's not too bad that it's unforgivable. So you kind of watch and go, okay, well, that's not too bad. So it is kind of fun. It's like a fun movie. There are pieces that are going to keep you on the edge of your seat and all that sort of stuff. Would I say it's an 8 or a 7? No. It is definitely a 5.5, 6 out of 10. Is it worth a watch? Sure. So you'll like the first one more. That's just how I feel. The first one I think was a little bit more put together, even though it wasn't as scary. So I think that maybe helped this movie a little bit with the fear factor part. But if it didn't have that, then I would say maybe not the most, not the movie you should run towards immediately. Maybe give it a watch when you get a chance, kind of thing. But look, there is quite a lot set up for the third one. So I do hope that they kind of put it together, and maybe I'll be more forgiving once I've seen that. But the setup with zero payoffs, you know what I mean? Even in, like, if you're watching something like Iron Man 1, 2, and 3, yes, there's a setup, there's a payoff, but then there's a bigger bad later. I don't mind that. But there was zero payoff in this, and it was all set up. So it's like they knew, okay, cool, we got a third one coming. It's a little bit frustrating. So, like, if there was some payoffs, I would have been a little bit happier, I think. So I am being a little bit hard on it because I do like the franchise. So I don't want you to go, oh, okay, no, he probably just likes whatever. So it is something that I can look back on and go, okay, let's watch the third one, and then look back at the second one and then go, okay, that makes a little bit more sense. So maybe I am being a little bit tough on it. But all in all, kind of fun. Like, there are cool pieces. So it is a fun little movie to watch. Not as good as the first, but a lot of setup maybe for a third one that's going to kind of put everything into perspective and so on. But we'll have to wait and see because the third one's not out yet. So it's like ending on a cliffhanger and you have to wait like a year to watch a movie again. So it does bug me a little bit, especially with the times in between, but that's okay. Let's hope the third one is really, really epic and sticks the landing. Maybe they want to make this into more than just 3 and like a bunch, because, I mean, the games, there's tons. So there's a lot of stories to tell. So maybe this is going to go into the 4, 5, 6 and so on sequels, etc. So you never know. But this definitely did well enough that the third one will be greenlit. So it's not like there's going to be a cliffhanger with not a continuation. So that's at least something to look forward to. But yeah, that's just a bit of food for thought. I'd love to know what you guys thought of Five Nights at Freddy's. Did you like it? What's the part you like? Is there anything that you didn't like? Pop that in the comments below. But besides that, please do show us some love by liking, sharing, and subscribing. And that is it for today's episode of the Everything Podcast. And we will see you in the next one. Goodbye.